would take a bold decision to know to go to 15s and join Western Province full out where he left the sevens. And we felt like, you know what, we've trained a couple of training sessions against them where we felt like this boy's got something that he can offer into we saw that what he offered in the Western Province team. And then also the couple of games that he's played now already with the Currie Cup, we see there's something, there's a potential in this lady. So I think it's best for our country when we see there's potential in the youngsters, give them an opportunity, you know, more especially with the build-up going to the World Cup next year. So we need to make sure that we turn all the stones and make sure that we give youngsters also opportunities. That's one thing I can say. Rassie is doing well at the moment. As you can see, the competition also amongst the squad is only because of there's fresh energy in our squad with the youngsters getting opportunities. So once again, I think Rohan deserves an opportunity to be to get a call into our squad.
Yeah. What skills does he possess that you think would be of benefit to the Boks, and how do you see yourselves managing him in terms of his integration into the team and maybe getting some game time?
I think if I compare him with one of the legends that play the game at centre, he reminds me of Marius Jube. I remember back in the days, he was one of the players who were sneaky around the field, always have a good eye for the space, you know. So that is something that I can see. He's got a potential to see the spaces around the field, and his work rate, you can't underestimate his work rate on the field. So once again, I think it's something that we have to also give credit to our system with the sevens, where you can see these guys that are they've won two series in the past 3 years. So it shows that there's also something these guys are doing very well. So I'm also happy with the fact that Rassie also doesn't overlook at the sevens players and think, you know what, they don't have a future in the 15. So once again, it's a great thing for us to have Rohanel in our squad.
Mzwandile, what about the expectation? You guys have gone to New Zealand, beaten the All Blacks in New Zealand, now you've got 2 home games. There must be added pressure on you guys. You've set the bar extremely high.
I think the main thing for us is we've got our own team goals that we're focusing on. Yes, it was a great win for us, most especially for South African rugby, but we're not going to be carried away with that win. There's still a lot of room for improvement with our squads, and once again, we still got a bigger picture. Once again, like I've mentioned earlier on, we're still building up to get to the World Cup. So maybe even in the next 2 weeks, there'll still be a couple of changes in our squad, you know, our team. But once again, it was good for at least South African rugby also to make sure that we give our supporters. We know they're very passionate, you know. We know a lot of South Africans, they support our team, so we can never underestimate that and take it for granted. So it really felt good to give them at least something positive where people they can look forward to when we come back into our country. And once again, coming to PE for us, not only for me as a homeboy, I think PE has been a special place to the Springboks. If you look at the history from 2009 when we opened the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, Springboks have been lost a game in PE. They've only drew 1 game, I think it was against England. So I've been there on the stands as a supporter. I've been there in the coach's box as a coach. So once again, this is a very special place for us as a Springboks, and it's good to be back in PE.
Speaking about that unbeaten record at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, running out in that top jersey on a ground where you guys have never tasted defeat?
Yeah, I think I always enjoy coming back here and playing at the stadium. I think the guys enjoy coming here. I think it's always just a bit of a laid-back experience for us. People are friendly and always welcoming. But I don't think it's added pressure playing there, not having lost there. I think it gives you a bit more confidence maybe. But I think the boys just want to improve on the previous game. Obviously, we enjoyed the win, but our focus has moved completely to Australia now, and that's really where our focus is on. I think we spoke about consistency a few weeks ago, is to back up our performances and not be a one-off team that can beat New Zealand and then the next week just play mediocre rugby. So that's one of our goals definitely this week is not to just play better or win, but to improve completely on our performance.
But would you say that the vibe or the mood in the camp has changed quite significantly after that All Blacks win? Has it given the guys maybe a bit of extra belief and confidence that the plan is coming together?
I think the vibe is always been good in the camp, but the belief part is probably is a good word to use. I think for the guys to realise what our potential is as a team, That was something for me that I wanted the guys to see, and through that win it shows what our potential is. So the guys, we set the bar now, so we need to always improve that. So I think it gives just the whole country belief in us and in the team structure as well. So I think if we can back that performance up this weekend and going forward, we can have a strong squad going to the World Cup.
What distinguished your performance in that game in New Zealand was that you just refused to lose. I mean, you were just so determined. How easy is it to replicate that 2 weeks in a row, which you'd have to do now, because you're playing obviously at Loftus the following week?
Yeah. We spoke about it. I think last week we spoke about passion should never be a problem. Jogging out to play for the Springboks. I think we know now what we're capable of, and I still think we can improve a lot on that and what we did. So we're working hard on those things. If we can get our detail right and our structure right in place and how we want to play on the field, the passion and all that's gonna come naturally. So if we have our structures and our detail in place, the passion will just be easy and take over and just make us so much more of a force.
And it's easier to lift at home as well, of course. And I mean, you're talking about being unbeaten in PE. It's not often that we lose at home generally. You won the series here against Ireland in
Yes.
2016. If I remember.
Yes, that's correct. So I think we want to play here. It's always good to be here, and I think everybody enjoys being here. Like I said earlier, but we just want to improve week by week and build our squad like Coach is saying, and it's good to see new faces in the squad. Rotating the guys well, so everybody gets a bit of game time, and even if you don't play for the Boks, you're in the system, but you get game time at your union. So everybody is staying match fit, and they're getting the detail from the Boks. So I think as a whole, we're building a good squad, knowledge-wise, and getting some good game time under each guy.
How important is it, like the next 2 weeks, putting in a good performance, as you said, it is World Cup next year, the preparation, and building the guys, rotating them around, getting them match fit in that game time?
Yeah, it's going to be very important. Like Faf mentioned earlier on, we're focusing on the process to make sure that we get better as a team. And first things first, also not to forget the fact that it is a special time in our country where the late Mandela would have been 100 years this year. So it's a big occasion for us, also coming to Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. So it's a big occasion for us, and we really want to make sure that we get better as a team, and also to make sure, like Faf said earlier on, yes, we also hurting sometimes when we lose the games. We know that our supporters also they're hurting, so we don't underestimate the support that we've got from our country. But the main thing for me is to make sure that even the games that we've lost, if you look at the fighting spirit the boys they've got as a team, I think we were a bit guilty against Argentina and Australia, where the opportunities that we've created on the field didn't convert them into points, and then our error rate was a bit high. And I'm not going to say much about the match officials, but otherwise, if you look at the previous games and the game we played against New Zealand, where a lot of 50-50 calls where they went on our side, because of the pressure we've put on New Zealand. So I think once again, it's always good for us to win against the All Blacks, more especially after 9 years. So it was good for our country to give it to our supporters. And then I have to be honest and say we are excited and looking forward to this weekend. We know it's going to be a tough. Australia are hurting at the moment after losing against Argentina, so we're not going to underestimate them at all. So we're going to make sure that we, not only for us to get better, also to make sure that we give our people a win they're looking for.
Maybe I can actually ask Faf this question then, because you've been involved in a few games against Australia. Okay, you didn't play last year, but it's been a while now since there's been much that separated the two teams. I mean, there were 2 draws last year. I think that it was a very close game, this last one. And yet there are times when maybe they're better and they should, and there's times when you guys are definitely better and you should win by more. What is it? Why is it that it's almost like you almost like underachieve against each other in a sense? Why is that?
I can remember when we played there as well in 2016. It was same thing, and at Loftus. So that's a good question, but I think, like Coach Dick says, we're creating all the opportunities, but we're not converting them into points. And that's partly experience. That's partly guys just losing focus. Maybe not having a right plan always. Not they doing something different. But yeah, that comes down to just converting your opportunities into points. And we've spoken a lot about it. Every week we go through opportunities, and how many we had against Argentina was unheard of, and we didn't convert. Australia, so many tries we could have scored, we didn't. So I think it's just if we can get used to and be cutthroat with that opportunities that you get. If you get 10 opportunities, if you can finish 7, that's great. But now our conversion is not good. So I think at least we know that, and we're working on that, and we're getting to strategies to convert them into points. So I think if we can start doing that, because I think we're not playing bad rugby, we're just not putting getting over the try line.
Coach, there was a thought that maybe Billy wouldn't come back from his English club, but just having him in the squad, what does it add? What is the thinking behind getting him back in for the final 2 games? And perhaps we can just chat about fullback and the need to build depth there with guys like Damien and Cheslin who can.
Yeah, I think with Village Young, he adds a great value in our side. He's one of the experienced players. I remember before the All Blacks game, it sounded like it was a challenge to them, where I said chances are if Faf de Klerk and Andre and Vili, they're making the good decisions on the field, chances are Piwe will become man of the match because of the leadership amongst the 3 players that I've spoke about earlier on. And it showed on the field. Once you get Vili and those guys at their best on a day with their leadership and also with the way how they execute the stuff, you've got a better chance to win against any team that you're playing against in the world, and it showed against the All Blacks. So once again, Vili for us in our squad, he adds a massive value. So we are actually grateful to have him back. I think he'll probably join our squad later tonight. And once again, the more we get the leadership players being at their best on the day, I think we've got a better chance to win against any side. So once again, just to go back on the question you've asked about FAF, if you look at the past 3 years between ourselves and Australia, where even in 2016 they beat us when we played against them in Australia, and then we came to Pretoria, we won against them, so it was 1-1. Last day it was same, where draw both of them, and then now we've lost against. So if you look at where we are currently, I think we're in a similar phase where they're also rebuilding because of they've lost some of the experienced players where they went to Europe sometimes, and then Kettlebell, he left and then he came back. So it's the same situation also we had where Faf last year didn't play, went to Europe, now he's back. So we are in a phase where I think we are rebuilding between the 2 teams. Maybe that's why, just to give you a good answer. I think the teams, they are in the same situation where they're losing players to the European side, and then now we are doing everything in our parts to make sure that we get access in our players. I think it's going to be interesting in the next 2 years to see who's going to take that, who's going to win that percentage. But as you can see also, they talk about getting Adam Ashley Cooper back into their squad. They had Guinea back into their squad. We've got Faf, all the leadership guys. I think if you compare us with them, I think we were more in the same phase with them, where we're trying to rebuild now and go back to where we belong.
Coach, what has Cheslin Colby added to the team as well? What abilities does he have that you think makes him the kind of guy you want to have involved?
I know one will question Cheslin as X Factor. I think he's a very, very special player. And one thing about him is that if you don't focus on his size, he's got a big heart. The first game he played, when he came off the bench, he didn't have much time with us as a team, so we could understand that okay, he's going to struggle maybe on a defensive system. But you saw when he came onto the field against the All Blacks, I think he made the big calls in the field where he was shooting in and make the big tackles. You saw when Ioane was running on the touchline where Cheslin just dropped his head and went for a big hit. So that is something that Cheslin has got. He's got a very big heart, and also the fact that he's got his X factor, that he can create something from nothing. So he adds also a lot of value in our side.
What are you expecting from the Wallabies on Saturday?
Like I said earlier on, CRC, they're hurting. They're hurting where they are currently, and we understand. We've been there also before. So we're not going to underestimate them. They're going to come hard. They've got a good coaching staff with Lakam and his experience. Cheka also has been around. So, and you look at, once again, if you look at Kettlebell and Will Guinea on their best day, they can destroy any team. So you can't underestimate those guys. So with Falau coming back and fit to play for them. So they've got a strong team. They're gonna come hard against us, but once again, we're just gonna focus on ourselves and make sure that we get better than where we left against the All Blacks.
Faf, can I ask you, you played against Aaron Smith last weekend, this weekend against Wilgenia. What does playing against the best players bring out of you personally as a halfback in those contests?
Yeah, again, there's quite a lot. I almost try and go out and try and play my game for the best of my team. So they obviously bring the best out of me in the terms of how I want to play. But as long as I can do something good for my team, then that's probably my main goal is to put the forwards into space and make the ball quick and all that, make sure my basics are right. So in terms of playing against another 9, it's not often that you get into each other's space that much, maybe at scrum time, but the rest you're more involved with the other players. So I think to try and outplay another 9, you're probably going to come second best if it goes about you. So I think just shift my focus and focus on my team is probably what I tend to do more. But yeah, it's just I also learn quite a lot from them by analysing them and how they want to play. So I think if I can learn something from them and use that against them, that's probably the things I take from that. Yeah.
This question I'm sure has been asked before, but we arrived late. The intensity against the All Blacks was incredible, and the emotion afterwards showed how high your arousal was for that game. How do you stay on that level rather than dip and wonder how to get it back again?
Yeah. So I think what our main goal was a few weeks ago was as well to make sure we become a consistent team and not just be a team that's 1 week great and next week a bit off. So I think that is one thing we focus on straight away. We obviously enjoyed the win, but right after that, I think it wasn't even after we got dressed, the guys really started talking about how we need to replicate this and need to go forward. So I think everybody knows in the back of their head that we need to up our performance this weekend. Because on the day, I don't think Australia is a worse side than New Zealand. So I think it's going to be just as tough for us. But like I said earlier, it's just to make sure we get our detail 100%. And if we get our off-the-field processes right, the passion and the pride will come through automatically. So I think there's never a doubt in that. So if we play with passion and pride and our detail isn't there, that's where we sometimes lose it a bit. So I think there's a lot of focus to make sure all the players know exactly what their job is on the field, and then the passion and the pride. If you know what your job is, those stuffs come easy.
Faf, where did you? Was a particular player or part of Australia's game which hurt you in Brisbane? Do you think? Like, where did they? What were their strengths in Brisbane which you guys struggled to deal with?
I think we were almost our worst enemy in that game. In terms of they put a lot of pressure on our scrums and our lineouts. So I think our exit game, not in terms of the way we kicked, but the way they put us under pressure at ruck time, at lineouts and at scrums, they did that really well. So we couldn't get out of our half just because of that set piece pressure. So I think there's a lot of focus gone into that with the forwards especially. I think they manned up a lot the week after that against New Zealand. So I think we know what the pressure's going to be at scrum time and at line-out time. They got big locks challenging our locks, so that's going to be their challenge for us as a team and for our backline. If they can sort that out, our backline can play a bit. But if we get bad ball, we're probably not going to exit well, and that's where they're dangerous when they start keeping the ball against us. And they got good runners inside and outside, always guys running lines. So I think if we stay in control and we want to exit the way we want to, kick on our own terms, that's going to help us a lot in the game.
Yeah, also just to add on what you asked on Faf, I think our discipline, I don't think it was at best when we played against Australia. If you look at the try Australia scored just before halftime, when we had I think a solid lead at that time, where we switched off a bit and then they've capitalized from our mistake. If you remember that lineup where we were exiting from there, and then also the penalty we gave it to them just before halftime, where they with Rhys Hodge, who can punish you over 60 meters. So I think also the discipline is something that we're going to need to work on and make sure that we are our best today. Like I said earlier on, once again, Australia, they're not a bad side. So they've got dangerous players. So if you give them a sniff, they will probably punish you. And yes, once again, we're going to have to be at our best in all departments today, come Saturday. I like the fact that Fab said our set pieces and breakdown, they've been challenged couple of games, more especially the ones that we've lost against Argentina. If you think about it, we're in the breakdown, we struggled, and then also same thing against Australia in the set pieces. I think that's a department where we're going to also need to improve it.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up with short Afrikaans and English. If Afrikaans and Xhosa, if you want. SABC?
Yeah. Stick
So you can ask it in English, you can
Okay. Stick from you can Afrikaans and
Ja, maar Frans, zie sterk nee. Kom ons bly aan by
It's
Xhosa.
okay, Faf sal Afrikaans.
Okay, just from you, stick the momentum coming off the All Blacks run and how important the next 2 weeks are going into the next one.
Ibalulekile kakhulu siswami into yoba sithi njengeqela le-Springboks sithi make sure uba we keep improving and getting better from where we left against the All Blacks. Yes, ibinhle into yoba masiphumelele against the All Blacks sidlala away from home. Into bengikhange ngizijeke in the past 9 years. So siyavuya noko nje abalandeli bethu and siyabazi ba-passionate about South African rugby and stuff and supporting iqela lethu. So bekukuhle noko siyayazi uba bakhona imini kube buhlungu ukuthi singabalandi singabaqeqeshi nabadlali, but siyayazi kodwa nabalandeli bethu ba very passionate about ilento iqela lamabhokobhoko. So bekukuhle noko kakhulu, iyavuyisa ukubona ba noko sikwazile ubanika iwin sidlala away from home. And eyona nto ibalulekileyo ngosizodlala beBhayi le ndawo I think it's a very special place to Springbok rugby, because of if you look at the history in the past since 2009 asika lose game apha eBhayi. So kuhle xa sibuyela apha eBhayi siyazi uba nakule nto ba utata uMandela owasishiya apha ehlabathini ngeba una 100 years ngoku. So as part of the celebration katata uMandela, so it will be really special uba sikwazi noko umpha la celebration ye-birthday yakhe utata. Siyamazi kaloku ilizwe lethu lenzele izinto ezi-special kakhulu. So we are really looking forward to Saturday City, make sure that at least we give our supporters also a big smile in their face again.
Thank you. Afrikaans for Faf? Faf?
Faf, just you spoke about it's not added pressure playing here in PE, but more of motivation. Can you just touch on that again?
Ja, nee, ek dink om hiernatoe te kom en ons onderwonne hierso is vir my persoonlik meer van 'n motivation soos ek gesê het, en ek dink die ouens geniet om PE toe te kom en hulle geniet om hier te speel en almal is so vriendelik, en ek dink die support is so great, jy word net outomaties meer gelig. So ek dink as 'n span moet ons net seker maak ons gefokus op ons prosesse en ja, die passie moet daar wees soos teen Nieu-Seeland, wat ek dink definitief daar sal wees, met die mense wat agter ons gaan kom die naweek, wat ek weet hulle gaan daar wees en ons support, want die mense is regtig passievol hierso in PE wat ons baie waardeer. So ek dink dit sal ons net ekstra paar persent gee vir daai game wanneer dit bietjie taai gaan om ons deur te trek. So baie opgewonde oor die naweek en opgewonde om weer bietjie uit te draf daarso.
Thank you very much.